As of 2024, we have 14 X-Men movies, starting with X-Men to Deadpool and Wolverine. So, let's rank them all. Hello everyone and welcome back to Geek City. If you want to see my Deadpool Wolverine spoiler review that I posted yesterday, please consider doing so you have a little bit of background on my thoughts on the movie. This was very difficult to put together because I love the X-Men. There are some really bad movies in this franchise, but there are also some incredible movies, so it was very difficult to find what went where. I just want to let you know I love this franchise, so this was hard to rank, but I think I figured out a good list. So, yeah, if you want to know my thoughts on some of these films a little more in depth, maybe on the second channel I can do some reviews. We will see. There's one that I know for sure I will probably end up covering because there's a lot to say about it. But I'm thinking about making Geek City Plus cover a few more movies that aren't new, just so you know. There's something there. It's not reviewing just movies. But we'll see. Let's see how this video does. So, just want to let you know, this is my opinion. We're going to disagree. That's fun. That's the fun of this. Let me know how you would rank these movies down below in the comments. We're all going to have different opinions, and that's the fun thing about this. We get to talk about all of our opinions, but don't be a jerk and, insult people for liking a movie that you don't like or a movie that, you don't like that people like. They're movies. They're fun. They're supposed to be entertaining. That's what it is at the end of the day. They're movies. Don't get mad if someone has a different opinion than you. It's okay. So, let's get started here with the number 14. This is very unfortunate for me, but I gotta go. X-Men: The Last Stand. This could have been one of the greatest greatest comic book movie trilogies of all time, but they didn't stick to landing. There's a lot of really bad things about this movie. Number one, some terrible character assassinations, specifically with Cyclops, who never really got anything to do in this trilogy, frankly, in the whole X-Men universe. A little more in the prequels, but especially in this trilogy. He's in the first one for a decent amount. He's not bad. In the second one, he disappears. He's barely in the movie. And in this one, he gets killed off, immediately for a really dumb way. He's not even going out heroic. He just kisses Jean, and she kills him. That's it. This is boring. This movie is so overstuffed. It's only an hour and 40 minutes, and they're trying to tell multiple different stories. You have Dark Phoenix, the Brotherhood, and the Cure. All of these could be interesting. They could have combined the Cure and the Brotherhood into one movie. Dark Phoenix shouldn't be a movie. I'll talk about why when we get to the next Dark Phoenix movie a little bit later. But again, that's the problem. This is a stuffed movie. There is so much going on, so every single plot feels rushed. Jean Grey shows up, she kills Cyclops, she kills Professor X, and then she does nothing for the next 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden, she's the big villain again, and so Wolverine has to stab her. So she's just a background character looking all evil and menacing while Magneto does his X-Men Brotherhood plot that he does every single movie. So she's like a background character for 30 minutes, even though this was supposed to be her big villain movie. And then again, The Cure is actually an interesting plotline. In Astonishing X-Men by Joss Whedon, it's handled really, really well. And since this movie's so rushed, you don't really get to see much of it. It's not really fleshed out really well. There's also some characters in here that just don't get great treatment. Again, of course, Cyclops, which I've already mentioned. But Angel, he's a great X-Men. Warren Worthington is a really interesting character, but he's barely in the movie. But I will say some positives here. The last, big finale, it's fun. There's some stuff to some entertainment here, like with Iceman finally learning how to become full on ice and fighting Pyro. And then the second opening scene where Angel cuts off his wings, I think should have been the opening scene. The weird flashback should have been cut. They should have used that as extra time for later on in the movie. This should have been the opening scene because it's really horrifying. It really is a great opening in a really bad movie. Unfortunately, after that, Angel does nothing, so it feels kind of pointless, but it's a great opening. There's some fun action. There's still some X-Men fun to be had here, but overall, it's not a good movie. I just don't know what they were thinking when they were making this film. Why did they decide this is the direction to go? And so, I just not a fan of this. The fact that Mystique just disappears, stuff like that, I don't know. It's cool to see Beast in here. I thought that Beast was performed really well. And again, some fun action here and there. But overall, not a good movie. It's just unfortunate that this is the closing of that original trilogy that otherwise could have been one of the best comic book trilogies. Coming in at number 13, X-Men Dark Phoenix. Now I'm going to talk about why Phoenix, the Dark Phoenix saga, emphasis on saga, does not work in a movie. Number one, just the big issue here is it's bland. It's a boring movie. The aliens in this movie are so generic and boring. I saw this movie a couple of days ago, too, for this ranking. I don't remember anything about it. It's so bland. There's nothing special about this movie. Nothing unique and interesting. Last Stand is a terrible movie. But I remember stuff. There are some movies that, in a way, could be considered worse than this movie. But at least I remember something. At least they left an impression. This movie, I don't remember anything about it. It's not good. It's boring. It's bland. There's nothing here to remember. Now, let me talk about Dark Phoenix. Why it doesn't work in a movie. Also, one issue is Dark Phoenix was rushed. I don't have any sort of emotional connection with these characters, the prequel ones. Now, of course, Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, I've been watching since First Class. So cool. Quicksilver, he gets beat up immediately. Like, really random. Like, he disappears after getting knocked to the ground. Mystique's death was weird. I don't know. I feel like there was no reason for Mystique to be in this movie, and another one that we'll get to in a second. But let's just look at this here. Dark Phoenix saga. It's a saga. There are 3 different arcs in this Dark Phoenix saga. It may be, let's do a few issues, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 issues in here. That could be the length of the movie. But the problem is, it's a saga, so it doesn't work. There are 3 different acts in here. The first act is about Kitty Pryde and being introduced and Dazzler and them having to rescue the X-Men. Second act, they go to stop Sebastian Stan, and he manipulates Jean Grey. She turns into Madeline Pryor, and then you have stuff with Angel in here. And then Act 3 is when they go to the Shi'ar Empire and they have to duke it out in a big arena. All of that 9 issues. So inherently, you can't really make that a movie because it'd be so overstuffed, and it'd have to be like 3 hours long to adapt all of that because it's hard to translating comics to movies. They're just inherently different. You can tell all that in 9 issues. You can't tell that in a decently sized, decently run-timed movie. So inherently, Dark Phoenix is hard to adapt without it just being this, oh no, she's evil, she's killing some of the X-Men. That's what it turns into. And in this movie, hold on, let me put this up for my beautiful new set here. All she does, all of Jean Grey's dialogue is, this is literally all she does in this movie is like, oh, it's so powerful, and if it comes out, I'm gonna hurt somebody. It's dangerous. That's all she's talking about this whole movie is about how dangerous the Phoenix is. And it is, but I don't need to hear it 50 different times. I think you can trust us a little bit to understand. I'm sorry. This is just, to wrap it up, Dark Phoenix does not work as a film. I'm not emotionally attached to any of these characters other than, like, the ones that have been around since First Class and Days of Futures Past. It's boring, bland, generic, random villain, aliens just being introduced. So overall, another one that is just really not good. And this is the last X-Men movie that we get. There are other stuff like New Mutants and Deadpool and all that, but the last X-Men movie, which is just a shame. Next one, X-Men Apocalypse. This one, I would, in a way, is worse, but it leaves an impression. I remember it. So, bonus points. So many things here. This is just a victim of a bad script. It's just not a good script. Apocalypse is so boring. Oscar Isaac is trying his best, but there's nothing to work with here. Terrible versions of Archangel and Psylocke in here. I feel like they're just really not the characters that I know from the comic books. And I get they're trying to do things differently, but this is not a good version of Angel. He's like just this mean, angsty teenager, and it's really lame. And And I feel like this movie has some good individual scenes, but it's not very interesting. I don't know. Boring villain, terrible dialogue, and the biggest sin of this movie is Mystique. In X-Men First Class, I like Mystique. I like her role in here, being kind of sisters with Professor X, seeing how different they are and how she ends up siding with Magneto and how she's conflicted in Days of Futures Past. There's a reason she's in First Class, and then her being in Days of Futures Past makes sense because obviously she's the one that's killing Trask. But why is she in this movie? They did it, you wanna know why they did it? Because Jennifer Lawrence is famous, and they knew she would make money, so they're like, hey, let's just make Mystique the main character of an X-Men movie. Why is Mystique the main character in an X-Men movie? She's a side character. She worked great in First Class and Days of Futures Past because she's actually fitting the role that she's supposed to do. In this movie, she's like the leader of the X-Men. It makes no sense. And I hear Jennifer Lawrence say the same line over and over again. She's like, I'm no hero. And they're like, they look up to you. Look at her. Look at them. They look up to you. Mystique, you're a hero. No, she's not. She's a part of the Brotherhood. She's supposed to be conflicted, but she's not the main character. Why is she the lead? Because Jennifer Lawrence is famous. And they knew she'd make money if she's all over the posters. So it's like, she shouldn't be there. That's my biggest issue with the movie is Mystique. She's not supposed to be here. There are a few things. Quicksilver scene is, of course, fun. It's cool to see Weapon X Logan. Some decent fights. But I don't know, it's just not a great movie. It's memorable. I remember things about it a lot more than I do Dark Phoenix. But just a bad script in general. I think they needed a lot more time with this film to really develop the plot. And what they were doing with Magneto at first was interesting with him losing a family. And just Michael Fassbender, of course, bringing it. James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender are always giving their best performance, even when they're given nothing to do. Both of them are just always great. But I like the whole, killing his family when they find out that he's, Magneto. And that causes him to become evil again. But then he just kind of sits around in a metal ball. And so it's like, hold on. And so there's just not much you can do there. So disappointing. But I just think this needed more time. It's not a great script. Coming in at number 11. New Mutants. So this is one, some people say it's like the worst X-Men movie. I don't agree with that. This is alright, middle. Maybe I could have put a little higher, but I don't know. I own it. I remember when I first watched it, it was like in 2020. Obviously, no one was really doing anything because, we were all locked down. But I watched it, I went, this is alright. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. And then I rented the movie from the library and I watched it. I was like, okay, this isn't bad. It's not terrible. And then I bought the movie on 4K for like $5 and watched it again. I was like, this is not bad. It's not great. And that's kind of where I sit on it. It's fine. This was the conclusion of the X-Men franchise, so I see why it's kind of not, great to some people. But it's Breakfast Club with X-Men tied to it. It's connected to Logan, so there are connections to the X-Men universe. But this should not have been the last X-Men movie, so that's kind of the issue here. It's literally just Breakfast Club with X-Men and a bit of horror sprinkled in there. There's not a lot to talk about with this one. I don't have anything necessarily terrible about it. It's just, I don't know, it's middle of the road. It's not great characters or anything. Nothing really memorable, but it's harmless. I don't have any necessarily criticisms of it. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say about that one. Number 10. This is one that most people consider the worst X-Men movie. X-Men Origins Wolverine. So this one I knew I've heard my whole life that it was terrible. And when it was added to Disney Plus, I watched it and I went, I liked that. I liked that movie. Why did I like that? Why did I like it? And then about 2 years or so, 2 or 3 years later, I found the movie on Blu-ray for like $4. It's like, you know what? Let's buy it. And I watched it again with my cousins and my family, and none of us disliked it. Okay. That's the thing. And then I rewatched the movie again a couple days ago for this ranking. I didn't hate it. I kind of liked it. I hate to say it. I liked the movie. Now there are some bad things. Terrible, terrible dialogue. So much plot conveniences just for the plot to happen. Terrible version of Deadpool in here, but if we didn't have this movie, we wouldn't have the Deadpool movie. So that's, gotta give it something. So terrible version of Deadpool. The Sabretooth and Wolverine being family stuff. That was just, I don't know. And then, okay, this isn't a good movie, but I enjoy it. Randomly putting Cyclops in here was also not great, but there are a few things I enjoy about it. I kind of like the action scenes. It's so, if you just look at it as a corny action movie, you can have some entertainment from it. This should not have been I feel like a Wolverine origin story should be 10 times better. They're great comics. Wolverine Origin is really good. Wolverine Origin is really, really good, showing the early days. And then if they took Wolverine Origin and combined it with Weapon X, combining those two comics, making a movie, it would have been really good. A Wolverine origin story should be 10 times better than this movie. But I just kind of enjoy it. It's schlocky X-Men action, so I can have some fun with it. Coming in at number 9, The Wolverine. This is probably the most forgetful movie in the franchise. I always forget it exists. I didn't know it existed until 3 years ago. I saw it on Disney Plus. I was like, what is this? I saw it on Disney Plus. Like, the Wolverine, and he's holding a sword. I've never seen this. I watched it. It was fine, you know. And I watched it a couple days ago. It's roughly adapting the Frank Miller, Chris Claremont comic book, and it's fine. There's some fun action in here. I like the opening scene with him being in the camp and like saving the soldier from the explosion. And there's some cool samurai action in here. But I think really what holds it back is the final fight in here is so cartoonish. The movie's been pretty, laid back, a lot, not big stakes or anything. Just, a solid action movie. And then it turns into like a big giant evil robot, with a big giant adamantium ninja. And it just came out of nowhere. So, I don't know. It's not bad. I'm never going to watch this movie ever again unless I'm doing one of these rankings. It's not one that I'm like, I want to watch a Wolverine movie. It's not the one I'd probably watch X-Men Origins over this one. It's better than Origins, but I enjoy that one more. So, it's harmless. It's fine. Number 8, Deadpool 2. Most people put Deadpool and Deadpool 2 next to each other. They love both of them. This one, I don't know. There's something about it. There's so much happening. It's really fun to see Cable, a comic-accurate version of Juggernaut in here. There are some hilarious jokes. It actually feels more connected to the X-Men franchise where they go to, the X-Mansion and you see some cameos in there. It's hilarious, of course. But it's overstuffed. You have so much happening. You have Deadpool at the prison with Cable, and then there's all this stuff about Vanessa dying and all this time travel, and there's so much happening that it just feels overstuffed. And then they randomly introduce Domino like halfway through. The X-Force was really funny. There's a lot of funny moments there with, Brad Pitt cameos or whatnot that were really funny. So yeah, I have fun with it. It's a really fun movie. I'll put it on every now and then and watch it. But it feels so, there's so much happening. You're just going at a breakneck speed to go to the next plot point, get to the next plot point, get to the next plot point. We don't just get time to kind of be like, oh, there's so much happening. I think this movie needs to be a little longer. It has breakneck speed. So that's kind of the issue. I have fun with it. I enjoy it. It's good. It's funny. Really funny. Of course it's funny. It's Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds. But I just think it needs to be a little longer. There's a little too much going on in this movie. I forgot to mention the Wolverine. That's kind of the bar for, this is a good movie. Last Stand to X-Men Origins Wolverine, I'd probably go, Wolverine and Up, thumbs up. So, just kind of break it down. Last Stand to Apocalypse, I go, bah. New Mutants, X-Men Origins, Wolverine, I go, bah. Wolverine and Up, yeah. Okay, number 7, X-Men. The movie that started it all. This is a nice change of pace from the big schlocky, comic book genre that we have now. We didn't have that then. X-Men is doing its own thing. It's taking the source material seriously. And so it's really refreshing. You go watch any MCU movie from the past few years, and then you watch this one, you're like, wow, man. Totally different styles here. Because this is back when the comic book movie genre was still kind of new. They were still figuring things out, so it has its own tone. And it's hard to say this movie has a ton of cliches, because this is the movie that kind of created the cliches. So it's that'd be kind of cheating to say there's a lot of cliches in here, because those all happened because of this movie. This and Spider-Man and Blade and Fantastic Four, all of that era of Marvel movies. And this is the movie that gave us this franchise. This is the movie that gave us Hugh Jackman, Wolverine. All of that came from this film. But I feel like there are still some issues. Not a fan of some of the characters in here. I don't like this version of Rogue. Anna Paquin's doing the best she can. But this Rogue is supposed to be proud to be a mutant. She's supposed to be really strong. There's supposed to be conflictions with her love interest with Magneto and all that. None of that's in here. She's just a shy little girl who wants to touch people. Okay, maybe I'm putting it a little differently. Rogue's powers suck, okay? She can't touch anybody. So she can't feel romantic. But I feel like there have been source materials to adapt that better than this movie. This movie is very much she's just quiet and weak. And she's like, oh, I can't make out with my boyfriend. My life is so hard. And oh my gosh. And then she goes and gets rid of her mutant abilities in that Last Stand. That all started here. Cyclops isn't getting much to do. Honestly, this feels like Wolverine and the X-Men. Kind of what this feels like. But this gave us Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, who were just at the top of their game. Just giving us these great performances. Magneto's plan in here is so cheesy, but it kind of works with what they're doing here. So, this is the movie that started it all. It's a nice change of pace. It's not incredible or anything, but if you just take this movie for what it is, based on the time period it was released, there's a lot of fun to be had here. And, I remember being a little kid and seeing this movie for the first time. I was at my great-grandparents' house, and my dad bought the DVD while we were on the road. I think it was at, like, a gas station or something. He was like, hey, you're an X-Men guy. You like X-Men, the TV show. You watch all that. Let's go watch the X-Men movie, which I didn't know existed. And watching it was just mind-blown. I don't even think I have that DVD anymore. Now I collect Blu-rays because I'm awesome and 4K. But yeah, so I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. I think everybody does. This is what gave us the franchise. It's a little outdated now. It's not big scaled or anything, but there's a lot of fun to be had here. Coming in at number 6, Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds has been wanting to make this movie forever, and you can feel that passion in every single second of this movie. Hilarious. This is a great origin story, where it's kind of an unreliable narrator, so events are happening out of order, so you have two different plots with the origin and then the stuff where he's trying to get revenge and everything. So that was all a lot of fun. So this is a really funny movie. I feel like this is one there's not much to talk about because it's simple, but it works. It's hilarious because Ryan Reynolds, basically, he's the one responsible for this movie. I feel like you just feel the passion that he and the team have for this film, and it really shows out in this movie. Hilarious. A lot more edgy than the other two Deadpool movies. I feel like with Deadpool 2, they kind of toned it back a little bit, but just such a great film here. That's a lot of fun. A lot of great action scenes and action choreography. I feel like with the ones that I'm positive on, there's not as much to say. I feel like with Last Stand and Dark Phoenix and all them, I'm really just destroying these movies. But these next ones, they're all just really good movies, so there's not as much to talk about here. If I had any complaints, I feel like sometimes the pacing of it is a little off. Like, I feel like it could be going a little faster. There's some pacing issues, and there are a few jokes where it's like, okay, come on. You're just being edgy to be edgy. There are a few jokes that are, some misses, but that's normal with comedy. Not every joke's gonna land with you. Coming in at number 5, X2. They took what was great about the first one and just bumped it up like 10 times. I like sequels where our team is split up and they're having to regroup, and this is roughly based on God Loves Man Kills, which is just one of the greatest, if not the greatest, X-Men comic book of all time. This is great. This is the old magazine here. This is a great story. Roughly based on it. There's a lot of changes, but again, I like movies where our team is split up, and so you have stuff like going to Iceman's house, the fight scenes at X Mansion where Wolverine and Colossus and all of them are having to defend these students. That was a lot of fun. Stryker is shockingly a really good villain. You had Magneto in the first one, and he's just a guy. But he's menacing because you don't really know, like, what did he do to Wolverine? A lot of great action scenes in here, especially with, like, Lady Deathstrike versus Wolverine. All of the stuff at Stryker's mansion, or not mansion, but his base, and the Cyclops and Jean stuff in here. A lot of great character moments in here. Like, Magneto's very much the, like, sassy gay uncle, and it's kind of cool seeing them team up with the X-Men, Mystique and Magneto. Cool to see them teaming up. That was a lot of fun. Great new introductions here with, like, Pyro being introduced, Stryker, all that. Really cool introductions in here. So this is a great movie. Just took the first one, which is really good, and just, like, amplified it. Made everything better. Better action scenes. Better budget. Greater story. I feel like the first one, the plot's kind of, it's thin. It's not... This one, I really... It's great. This is kind of, what really put the X-Men out there. If only the third one was, was great, and, it landed the plane, but it didn't. Whatever. And so I think that the third one kind of makes the ending of this one not as good because of the whole Jean Grey stuff. Number 4, the newest one, Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm not going to talk about this one a lot because I did a spoiler review, but I'm just going to say this is a great movie. So much fun. I feel like it's just a tribute to those early 2000s movies. Not just the X-Men one, but Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Blade, all that stuff. Very much you can tell that this was very much a tribute to that. Great performances from Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, of course. This movie actually has a lot of heart to it. Like, there's some emotional stuff in here with, like, some of the lines and dialogue and monologues about Deadpool just really feels like he doesn't have a purpose. And that's what he's trying to do here, is save his timeline. Same with Wolverine. He feels like he failed everyone, so now he's trying to prove himself. It's great to see the classic suit. There are some really just great cameos that feel earned and deserved. There's not a single cameo in here I'm like, okay, that's cheap. You're just doing it because people like the movie if you do it. Every single cameo moves the story forward. I'm not going to spoil here because this is, if you want to be spoiled, go watch my spoiler review. But just so much, the cameos feel earned. incredible action scenes, pretty good villain, and it's connecting things to the MCU, so I think it did a great job. Again, not going to talk about this one much because I don't want to, reveal too much about the movie since it is so new. Coming in at number 3, X-Men First Class. I don't think anybody expected this movie to be good. This was following X-Men Origins Wolverine, so everybody's like, oh, another prequel. But this movie's really good. This obviously gave us James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, who were just perfect for these roles. That plays such a great young version. But they're doing their own thing. They're not just copying Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. They're bringing their own thing to it. And just seeing, and I think making Charles the lead works really well. Seeing him training these X-Men. Just look at that training montage. That's one of the best superhero montages. I love that. Seeing him and Magneto forming this team to stop Sebastian Stan and Kevin Bacon, who's a lot of fun in this movie. I thought that this is just such a great film. They finally are wearing the blue and yellow costumes, the spandex. So cool. We get a pretty cool version of Banshee in here. We get Havoc, Mystique, which eventually... But, this movie is just, it's great. I think it balances the tone really well. It knows how to take things seriously, but there are also a lot of funny jokes in here. So this is one that I love this one. It's really just shocking how good this was. And I don't think anybody really expected it to be this good. Like, it was just such a great film that it's kind of overlooked. I feel like a lot of people just kind of don't look at this one. But it's fantastic. And I hate that the prequels kind of slowly got, not very good. But fantastic movie. We get introduced to some great actors giving on great performances. Really good action. Really love the ending of this one. And it balances the tone really well and does a great job. I kind of look at this one as, I don't look at this one as a prequel. I look at it as a separate timeline. Because if you try to connect it to the continuity of the original trilogy, you're going to give yourself a headache. That's the thing is, the Fox universe, they never cared about continuity, so it's fine. Coming in at number 2, Days of Futures Past. They managed, okay, so with Dark Phoenix, I don't think that's a comic book to adapt, but Days of Futures Past is very easy to adapt. Days of Futures Past is only 2 issues. Like, this trade, most of it isn't Days of Futures Past. Days of Futures Past is only 2 issues, and it's about Kitty Pryde going back in... Let me put this back in. About Kitty Pryde going back in time to save the X-Men from... Hold on. Oh, God. My really cool Deadpool Wolverine Funko Pop here is going to be very messed up if it keeps dropping. Come on. Alright, anyway. So, this movie actually works as a film. They're able to tell a longer story, so it's really cool seeing Wolverine going back. And this could kind of be the closing point of the X-Men universe, where they knew Last Stand was terrible, so they just decided to retcon it. So it was like, oh yeah, that doesn't. We're gonna talk about that. And seeing the past and the present colliding, seeing James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart interacting in that one little beautiful scene was incredible. There's some really cool action in here. I think this could have been number 1 if the finale just kind of Magneto just randomly snaps, but I can overlook that. This is an incredible movie that has such great action scenes in here. You have the Quicksilver scene in here, which was a lot of fun, and the Sentinels are great villains, and you have the stuff with the past and all that was interesting, but even the stuff going on in the present where, the Sentinels are basically murdering everybody, that was also really fun. So this is such a great movie. For a time was my favorite, and then I watched number 1, but we'll get to that in a second here. So this is one that I really love. I rewatch this one all the time. I rewatch it all the time. I love it so much. It's such a great movie that I think it's better than the comic book, because the comic's only 2 issues. It's a short little mini arc. It's good, but it's it's 2 issues. It's not crazy. This movie amplifies that, and I think it's just an incredible movie. But coming in at number 1, we all knew this was happening. Logan. I mean, this isn't a surprise to anybody. We all knew this was going to be number 1. This is the movie that I would consider making a video on Geek City Plus, because I can't express what's special about this movie without talking for 30 minutes. This could kind of be the bookend to the X. I feel like what they could have done was they could have done X-Men 1 and 2, ignore X-Men Last Stand, X-Men First Class, Days of Futures Past, the 2 Deadpool movies, and this, Logan. Be a pretty good franchise here. This is a sad, depressing movie. Now, I will say I can't rewatch this one a lot. I've only watched it a few times because I don't want to spoil the magic of it. Like First Class, Days of Future Past, First Class, all those I can rewatch them a bajillion times, even the bad ones. But this was one you don't need to rewatch a lot because it kind of ruins the magic of it. It's a dark, depressing movie about this Wolverine who is just slowly rotting. He's older. He can barely take bullets anymore, and he's having to take this girl to Eden, a place for humans and to be free. They're not being hunted, and he doesn't believe it's real, but he wants to do it for this kid, who has lost everything. And so you have X-Men, X-23 in here, an old Professor X. That it's such a gut-wrenching movie. Hugh Jackman gives his best performance yet, and I think this could have been a bookend with his sacrifice, saving all these kids. Incredible. And I'm so glad that Deadpool Wolverine doesn't change this. I'm so glad they don't do that. If they did, then that would have been a bad idea, but luckily they don't. So this movie gets to stay on top. This doesn't feel like a comic book movie. This just feels like a good movie. I don't fit in the comic book movie genre. It's just a good movie. It's just a good movie. Really good movie. It feels weird. It doesn't fit with any of the other films. It's the quality of the X-Men movies compared to this one is not even a question here. So this is an incredible film. So many gut-wrenching moments. But it's a great closing off point to this, at this point, 17-year performance that Hugh Jackman's been giving, and a great closing off point here. So I love this movie so much. It's not I don't look at this as a comic book movie. I just look at this as a great movie. It's incredible. This is one where I feel like I need to do a proper video on, but I don't know. Maybe if this video does well, I'll do a Geek City Plus review. But just such a great movie where you're seeing Hugh Jackman pretty much dying just to get this girl and these young mutants to basically essentially what is Genosha, basically. And so yeah, that's all I can really say about it here. I feel like I need to do more in depth, but that's all of them. This only took 33 minutes or something. If you guys enjoyed, let me know in the comments how you would rank all 14 X-Men movies. If you don't want to do that, just list some of your favorites, least favorites. You don't have to rank all 14 of them. But I want to know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I want to know. Just can't. Don't be a jerk. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe, turn on notifications. I might do some more X-Men videos. I'm thinking about reviewing X-Men 97. I know I'm really late to the party. I'm repping this shirt right now because, X-Men and whatnot. But I'm thinking about doing a spoiler review where I just go through all episodes talking about it. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm probably not, but it's possible I'll do that. But we'll see, depending on how these videos do. So again, go check out my Deadpool Wolverine review if you haven't. And as always, stay geeky, bubs. Oh yeah, you see what I did there? Bubs, and that's it. Kill myself.